Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PlotCast. I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sandbrook, and today we're going to be discussing the nostalgia problem. So these days, Hollywood relies heavily on nostalgia. That's the only way that they seem to think that they can get butts in seats at the theater these days. Uh, between all these sequels, prequels, even remakes, especially live action remakes when it comes to Disney. Uh, just just recycling the same old thing that we've seen before. Um, there's some legacy films, and while some of them are still pretty good, they still rely heavily on nostalgia to bring the audience in. And while I understand it's the safe bet, there's a huge problem that comes with it, and that is that there's no new original material.
Correct. I mean, and it's not just with Hollywood, it's with other things. Like, let's say, I mean, yeah, partly in Hollywood, like Ninja Turtles was originally a comic book. With comic books, they basically reboot, I don't know, at this point, once every 2 years, whether it's Spider Man comics, Turtles comics, you name it, sky's the limit. Batman, I think, is in its fourth iteration in a comic book line right now. And even with Pokemon in 2023, they came out with 151 set to grab that nostalgia to get people back into it because they were dwindling for a bit. And guess what? That started the Pokemon boom. It's playing with people's emotions in not all the right ways. I mean, some of it, yes, some of it is warranted, but a lot of it is just quick cash grabs with no thought involved. And that's what really sucks for the people who are very passionate about whatever it is that's coming out that was a part of their childhood. I mean, when we were kids, we grew up on stuff like Batman, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, that kind of stuff. When our parents grew up, as we were talking about on the phone, they didn't have a lot of stuff like that. The best that
Yeah.
you could say that they had that they grew up with was like James Bond as far as film wise. And those were technically one of the first reboots. So they're always having, somebody else play the character after a certain
Yeah,
amount of time.
although they weren't necessarily reboots, they just replaced the actor. They never specifically stated that they were rebooting. The first technical reboot was Daniel Craig.
I get it.
Otherwise, they just continued to keep using different
Well,
people, but in the same storyline.
technically, the first reboot, if you think about it, was the first Sean Connery James Bond movie because America tried to make their own James Bond and called him Jim Bond or something like that. It was a TV movie and it didn't work. And I think years later is when they did the Sean Connery movie, which is funny.
Yeah, I mean, James Bond has been one of those. I mean, you could even call that legacy movies because there's still the theory that James Bond is just a moniker, a code name
Yeah.
that goes along with 007 as a code name. So it could very well be a continuous series. Um, you know, but either way, it kind of falls in the sequels. It was probably one of the first ones that really did rely heavily on nostalgia, but really it was just one of the early IPs that just did really well. I mean, we haven't had a James Bond in quite some time. I'm sure that they're working on it. I've
Oh, for
heard
sure.
some things, but where that's actually going, I have no idea. I know that they got that video game coming out, and that might refresh the audience to 007 before they really push on a movie. But that being said, yes, you're right. Our parents had very little when it came to nostalgia. I mean, nostalgia these days, it preys on us like Pokemon.
Hmm.
We grew up either watching it, collecting the cards, um, and now our kids are doing the same thing, and the prices for things are ridiculous. And really, what that relies on is the parents are fans or used to be fans. So
Yep.
we're willing to fork out the extra money for something, even if it's low quality, just because we recognize it and we know the kids recognize it.
Yep. And if you think about it, I'm not really knocking it, but Fortnite does play a part in this too. They
Yeah.
bring something in all the time, and, if you're a kid, I mean, that as far as I know, Fortnite is more geared towards the younger generation.
Yeah, well,
Correct
I
me if I'm
mean,
wrong.
yes and no. I mean, let's face it, when it comes to nostalgia, that isn't based on the younger generation. It's based on the older generation. And there's a lot of people who are older that are going through, buying up the skins for whatever the big thing is then. I think they do I mean, look who has the money. Most children do not have a job. They're
Yeah.
not making money unless they're stars on YouTube or they got a paper route. There's not much that they're going to be doing to earn money. So yeah, they definitely rely on our generation, from millennials onward. Um Maybe a little earlier than that even, but I think millennials are the prime target. It's just one of those things that they have a wide variety of people in each generation to appeal to. It's definitely a cash grab. When it comes to video games, usually they just take the same formula and reskin something. Very little work goes into something to sell it back off to people.
Mhm.
We get a lot of remasters and not necessarily remakes because that would require actually rebuilding something.
Although we do
But
get them from time to time.
we do.
Yeah.
But we're also going to be expecting to pay top dollar for them too.
Mhm.
But that being said, it's still a safer bet. They are relying on our nostalgia to sell the game in itself,
Yep,
even
just
though
the
we've
name.
played the entire thing before.
Well, I mean, I'm guilty of that, I'm one of those people that will just
Yes,
buy it and then play it again and then buy it and play it again, so I'm no help to the cause, but I do get kinda frustrated, especially when it's something that never even needed it.
exactly. And I think one of the prime examples is always going to fall on Disney, and that's their classics, the Disney classics, which let's face it, they don't actually own. They don't own Cinderella. They don't
No.
own Snow White. Those were stories, that lived for hundreds of years before they got their hands on them. They used these stories because they were in public domain. It was free to
Yeah,
use, and then they monopolized on it. And now they have a further monopoly on it, taking those classic cartoons that actually were made with, some form of heart and soul, whether you're a fan or not, doesn't matter. A lot of work went into those original cartoons.
yep,
Snow White specifically was the make or break for Disney. It was what they expected to be their very last movie to make. And it being their first movie, it started a whole new thing. They were able to actually, I mean, a lot of it had to do with the time frame. They were just getting out of the Great Depression. People were looking to um, be awed by what's next, and that's
yeah.
exactly what that was. And yeah, now Disney is taking all of these old classics and remaking them live action and not adding and I mean they add things to these stories, but nothing of value.
Yeah, a lot of things that were not a part of the original movie or story,
They're
just
adding
adding.
controversy.
Yeah,
We've got the nostalgia. We're going to hook you there, but we're also going to get you talking about the things that we announced that are different before the movie even comes out. There's no guarantee that those things will still be different because we may change it if the backlash is too great, like they did with the
Seven
dwarves.
Dwarves, yeah,
Yeah, but it just goes to show that they're not even consistent in their own marketing. Uh, they create controversy going, "Hey, we changed Ariel's race." Ha, talk about it online, bitch about it, come see our movie to complain.
yeah,
Either way, we get money. It's all about money. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with the source material. Because I mean, the source material, when you get down to it, this isn't the Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid was a dark tale. So it goes to show that their sole purpose is just to get butts and
yeah.
seats
I mean, there's
to
a
get sold.
saying that goes, "Controversy creates cash," which
Yeah.
isn't always true, but as far as Disney goes, it's it was working for a while until people just caught on, and Disney seems to be kind of
Yeah.
not rocking the boat as much as it used to. I think they're finally learning their lesson slowly but surely, but only
It's
time
not
will
so much
tell.
that they're learning their lesson. When it comes to business and marketing, it goes in cycles. They just know that this cycle is over. They're like,
Yeah,
we have a bunch of things in development that we were going to remake. Maybe we shouldn't. Um, we'll just we'll cash in while we can on what we've got, and we'll just cancel those future projects because they can be tax breaks in themselves.
yeah,
There's no real loss, only to the actors that were involved in those
true.
projects.
And as far as, like, nostalgia goes, like, we're getting ready for another kind of nostalgia cycle to hit, which brings a little bit of controversy to it, is the Harry Potter series on HBO. I know, a lot
Yeah.
of people were excited at first, and then, they started doing the casting, and certain people weren't supposed to be how they were in the books, and
I think the problem with that is it actually is down to race. But it's not down to race just because they made Snape black. It's because it changes the entire story. Because Snape was just bullied for being creepy. Now he's being bullied for being black. And that makes Harry Potter's father a racist. All of the good guys, the old school good guys, him and his pals, are now all racists. They're no longer good guys.
yeah,
It completely changes the story.
unless they're trying to implant some sort of, like, lesson in it, like, "Oh, yeah, you shouldn't be like this because of this, that, or the other," but that you're going at this point, you're
You
going a
learned
little
that
too
lesson
far for that.
anyway. You learned
Exactly,
that lesson already in the original material. Now, by doing this, you have changed the entire aspect.
and
The story is no longer the same. It becomes a very racial focused story instead of it just being, you know, Snape may look like a bad guy, but he's really the good guy. Looks can be deceiving. Now it's yeah, they're racists. Harry
and
Potter's dad, all of his buddies, they're all racists.
I mean, it's sad because this is something you'd expect that would have been done maybe, like, 40 years ago, you know? Now they're doing it now in modern times, like, "Come on, aren't we past this already, people?" Like,
Yeah.
go
Um,
come on.
that look, there is plenty of space in the Hollywood sphere for stories about race. It shouldn't be ignored. But you shouldn't replace existing material to push what feels like an agenda.
Yeah,
I agree that movies like 12 Years a Slave, they're great at opening people's eyes. I mean, most people's eyes are already open. We
yeah,
already see it for what it is, but, you know, creating these movies now gives us a library of things to look back on. For things to show that pop culture does accept and we accept the problems of the past and we're dealing with them. But you don't need to take a popular children's franchise and make it about racism.
yeah, I just feel like whenever something like this happens, we're taking 2 steps back. It's like, "Come on, people."
It forces the racial conversation, which is fine.
Exactly.
The racial conversation is fine to have. Is it fine to have, though, amongst children who aren't being brought up? But,
Mm,
like, yes, I understand maybe, you know, uh, even just maybe even the millennials, that I think that was probably the beginning of the transition, right?
yeah,
Where racism was really weeded out. Um, so, maybe the generation before us needed this kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, but we don't. We're finally past it. And sure, there are countries that are not as progressive as us. Um, and maybe they need it, but they're not making it for those countries.
yeah,
These types of movies and shows are made for us.
yep,
Uh, and it feels outdated. It
exactly.
also feels forced. And honestly, I think as far as the older generation, the generation that grew up with Harry Potter, they're not going to take to it. At least most of them are not.
Yeah.
And it will be for the younger generation, but the younger generation are going to be consuming this media and assuming that all of us are racists.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I hate. It's kind of like putting that misconception onto us. It's like, our generation, at least far as I'm concerned, is past this. I didn't grow up with
Yeah.
racism,
With
you
my
know.
entire experience, your entire experience, we understood racism very early on. Um, and again, they always say how racism is taught. It's
Yeah.
not, you're not born racist. And yeah, we weren't taught to be racist. We were taught that racism was bad. So, there was really, I mean, yes, again, there are areas.
Yeah.
Um, and even in our generation, yeah, I came across a racist or two, but they were aware that it was a negative stigma.
Yeah.
It's not like they were going around acting like it's a perfectly normal thing and I should be acting the same way. It's never been like that in my experience. Same goes for yours. And a lot of people our age feel that way. And anyone younger should also have experienced it the same way we did. I don't think we're regressing in any way. Um,
It's just
I think,
reflecting things in a negative light to
right.
certain age groups.
I think the 90s kinda did it pretty well. They incorporated people of different races in a lot of things. We grew up with the Power Rangers, and it felt racist, yes. Looking back, there were things that they weren't as open to. The Black Ranger was a black guy. The Yellow Ranger was an Asian chick. There were certain things that you look back now and go, "Ooh, okay." But that was our introduction to, yes, other races are involved. They're still all good
Yeah.
guys.
And the thing is, I remember watching it. I didn't even think about that until
No.
I was older. I'm like, "Oh, wait, it didn't click to me. Whoa." But
Right,
it's like,
exactly.
I don't know if they actually, when they made the show, thought that themselves, like, not the actors, but the people who, did the casting thought that. I don't know.
Maybe. I know that they were trying to be more diverse
Yeah.
during that time. You saw it with, Saved by the Bell. All of those great big shows of the 90s always had a mixed, diverse cast. I mean, the same as right now. When they force upon a mixed cast, it's fine. We have come to accept it pretty much our whole lives. But where we draw the line is where it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's a historical movie about, Slavic people, yet half of them are black. Or it's a story about a family in modern day. The father is black, the mother is Asian, and the child is white. Shit makes no sense.
Yeah, unless the kid's adopted, then that makes sense or
It
whatever,
would make sense if they said it that way, but they never do. And there are moments where you go, wait a minute, none of this lines up. Like, did anyone question The Last of Us when we had a Hispanic dad and a black daughter? Yes, the mother could have been black, but we didn't know. They just don't bother. They don't put in the time. They don't put in the care. Um, and again, they changed the source material. Like, is it necessary? No. Does it impact the story? Not really. But it makes everyone think for a moment, going, wait, hold on. I'm not able to connect the dots.
Yeah. I
And it
mean,
takes you out of something.
yep. I mean, as far as The Last of Us goes, it made sense character-wise that Joel could have been Hispanic because they were in Texas. That's fine. But the fact that, once again, you're changing the source material to make more people feel included. I mean, there are other characters in the game universes that are of different races. Just include them.
It's very similar with Star Wars. I mean, we accept immediately that Finn, at least initially, we thought was going to be the new Jedi, which was a bait and switch, which was fine. And yes, there was some racism online because
Yeah.
online seems to be the most racist place on the
Yes.
planet. But I don't know about you, but I was totally cool with him becoming the next
Yeah.
Jedi. And then you watch it and it was a bait and switch. And I was kind of okay with it. It was what they did with his character later that
Yeah.
really peed me off. And it just goes to show, like, I can watch a movie and put myself in Finn's shoes. race really doesn't have like I get that a lot of it has to do with um children and having someone that they
To
can
look
look up
up
to,
to.
that they can
Yep,
see themselves in,
yep.
and I'm okay with that. Um, but again, it's gotta make sense. That made sense. I was okay with it. It was new characters, they were coming in, perfectly fine. But Star Wars again is another one of those sequels and legacy movies that they didn't make episode 7 because they had a brand new story and they just could not wait to give it to us, the audience. They just remade
Uh,
episode 4.
they were on a time crunch. They just spent $4 billion to buy this franchise, and
They
they're like,
had a script from George Lucas. They had it.
well, they had an outline, but still, that's
Oh,
better
yeah,
than what
well,
they
you
had.
telling me they had this script written already? No.
No.
An outline is still better than the garbage they gave
Yep.
us.
I mean, they were better off taking an extra year to fine tune the script, get rid of the whole Death Star. Pretty much most of the movie was good. They should have just taken out the whole Death Star type scenario, and then they probably would have been fine. I would have kept Finn as, the front, like the Luke Skywalker of it all, is what I would have done it as.
I'm still okay with Rey being the badass. They just need to write her better. Her character just shows up, doesn't need training, is super awesome at everything, and she just falls into that Mary Sue concept.
Yep.
And the first movie I can accept as long as she goes into the next movie needing to train to fine tune, but she
Yeah.
doesn't. And don't
Exactly.
get me wrong, that was technically Luke Skywalker's fault based on the script, not
Yeah.
wanting to do it. But it just goes to show that technically she never needed it because she never got that training and was still super awesome at everything.
To be fair, even Luke didn't really have a lot of good training. Ben, like, talked to him or trained him for technically maybe an hour, and then in
Yes,
episode
but
4, 5,
experience.
yeah,
He had experience, and experience is worth teaching. And I mean, at his age, and you also, we have, all the stuff, not that they had it then, but the stuff with the Mandalorian that's coming out that we're
yeah,
seeing things that he had done. Now that all of that stuff is written, you can look back and go, well, now it really makes no sense. Why did he
yeah,
do this? Um, I know it wasn't written at the time, but they should have also considered things like that. Oh, we may fill in these gaps. We
yeah,
already plan to do, movies in and out all over the place. So, yeah, there's a chance that we may fill in this gap. To just assume that we're going to be okay with Luke going, yeah, no, I give up. I'm not going to better myself or correct the courses of my wrongs. I'm just going to disappear. No,
yeah,
no, makes no sense. Not no normal person in their right mind would do that. It would have been no different if he just committed suicide and just disappeared.
yeah.
That was it.
I mean, the thing is, the explanation they gave for it wasn't that good. If they would have, like, said, even Mark Hamill said this, if his wife or kids were killed, that would have made sense for him to go into, like, a depression kinda thing, but for
Yeah.
the reason they gave him, it made no sense.
And to not be like, "Hey, Ben," even a year or 2 later, "I just wanna clarify. I just
Yeah,
wanna explain. I just wanna talk to you about what happened." No,
and
just
then
let
even
let him go to the dark side. That's the best course of action.
and then even if he did come back and try to talk to him like that, and even if Ben didn't believe him, that would have been more compelling,
Yeah,
because it would just been, like, somebody who's super upset and unwilling to forgive, you know? So, I
yeah,
mean, right there, we just fixed it.
exactly. I the fact that he even went to do it in the first place blows my mind. It still makes no sense to me, but whatever.
That's what we
Um,
get for, fast tracking a movie
that's what we get
franchise.
for falling for the nostalgia train as viewers.
Yes.
We just accept and move on because they were too lazy to write it better.
Yep. I mean, several people that I know, when the movie was getting ready to come out, they were, like, talking about how it's probably gonna suck or whatever, and you know me, I'm on the other side of the camp to where everything's gonna be sunshine and rainbows. People, it's Star Wars. They're not gonna make the same mistake that happened with episodes 1, 2, and 3. Granted, those were pretty good movies for what they were. 1 was, 2 was better, 3 was the best, but it got better with time. It actually went in reverse. with
Yeah,
episodes 7, 8, and 9. So hopefully Disney has learned their lesson and Grogu and the Mandalorian is gonna kind of set the tone for episode 10. Who knows?
I hope that they focus more on delivering things that are new instead of just, again, using the nostalgia train to bring people on board. Don't just say it's a Star Wars movie, come watch it. Say it's a Star Wars movie, we really put effort into this one.
Yeah. This is original. Maybe there's definitely gonna be some sort of callback to something somewhere in it,
Well,
let's
the
be
fact
honest.
that it's Ray still picking up the mantle
Yeah.
is it's still her story, it's still her continuation. Hopefully, Finn comes back and
Yeah.
is used.
Yeah. Something tells me he's gonna get his due. I don't know.
I think after how poorly Star Wars has been received for the last 3 movies, because you can only make terrible movies for so long before people stop going to see them.
Yeah, Resident Evil.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things where they're like, "Hey, we at least gotta give 'em 1 good movie."
Exactly. In the main
And
line.
yeah, it's beneficial for them to do it.
Yeah.
'Cause, right now, they are especially Disney, they're like, "Hey, Star Wars, there's a built-in audience. We know they're gonna go see it regardless." There's a comfort factor, with having characters that we are already familiar with. So, immediately, that was their first move. It's going to be Rey. We're
Yeah.
not talking about new people, it's going to be Rey. Okay, alright. So, there's a comfort factor. There's still, a large fan base that love Rey. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. And then you know that streaming's gonna be through the roof.
Yeah.
Right before it gets released, all of the Star Wars stuff, they're gonna be promoting it, they're gonna have a whole section dedicated to it. "Hey, check out all the other ones prior. Watch all of these, get yourself ready." The streaming boost in itself is worth the payoff.
New toys.
Always with the toys. I mean,
Yep.
that's been Lucasfilm's bread and butter from
Yep.
day one. Um, so now the only thing they have left is to deliver an actual story that people want to see.
Yep.
And if they do this and they do it properly, then you can start bringing it up to other studios. I hate to say it, but as much as I love Ghostbusters, the last 3 movies have not been great. Not as great as the first 2.
I don't know, to be honest, the second one was meh.
When I say last 3 movies, the female Ghostbusters
Mhm.
one, which obviously most people have written off completely.
Yep.
Even the studio feels like they've written it off
Yeah.
completely. Um, and again, that felt forced because they were like, "Oh, it's the female Ghostbusters." Forced. No original creative ideas in the movie. It was just, "Hey, come see it because it's the female version." As soon
Yep.
as you just put those words in there to anything, it's the female version of something, female version of Ocean's 11. And it's like, "Okay, do you have a story though? Or are you just trying to say, 'Hey, there's boobs'?"
Got a point.
Uh, and that's why these movies did so badly. It's we're not here for the female version of anything. We're here for a story. And when critics see the movie before it's released and they all say, "Don't see it, it's garbage," most people are not going to go see it.
And that's the problem with the nostalgia trap, you know?
Yeah.
They take a brand name, use the nostalgia to sell tickets or toys or merch, whatever, and get you there, and then you leave disappointed and feel like, "I just wasted my money," while, they go laughing off to the bank.
They did that with the Borderlands movie. They clearly didn't even play the games. They clearly didn't even read a synopsis of the games. They were just like, "Hey, here's a picture. Here's these characters. Make them look alike and make a movie." It was awful. And you know that they were laughing the whole time to the bank. It didn't
Yep,
matter. People went to see it. That's all
yep,
they got. That's all they needed. They're not going to make another one because they know no one's going to go see it. But with things like Star Wars, they had such a great foundation that people are still going to continue to go see them even when they're bad because there's a hope
yep.
that there's going to be something better. Now, Can there be nostalgia movies that are awesome? Yes. We had Fury Road, Mad Max
Oh,
Fury Road.
amazing.
Yeah, and again, it was the nostalgia trap. They were like, "Hey, bringing back Mad Max. He's going to be played by, X. Obviously,
Tom
we know
Hardy,
now is Tom Hardy, but at the time, it was like we're going to use a big name. Obviously, we can't be using
Mel
Mel
Gibson.
Gibson anymore. But yeah, here we go. We're going to be bringing him back." And then the critics come in, and the critics go, "See this movie? It's that good. Go see it." Then everyone goes see it, and it was really good. And then you had the next movie doing pretty good too, even though it wasn't as good.
The Evil
But
Dead remake, or quote unquote remake at the time, that was really good.
it was. They decided to get rid of the campiness and go straight horror. That was perfect. That's all that really needed because it was essentially the same story. The
Yep.
story was very much the same, and it was great.
And you know what?
Um,
It was technically gender swapped, and you know what? The story was good, so it worked.
exactly. It's okay to do that as long as you make it worthwhile. The viewers want to be entertained, and it's not entertaining if we're either, you know, being yelled at through some social commentary, or if it's just plain doesn't make sense. Another good movie based on nostalgia that everyone went wild for was Top Gun Maverick. It was one of those things that, I mean, I'm not saying it's a great movie because there are plot holes. Watching it going, wait, who are we at war with? Do they not mention throughout the entire movie who the enemy is? No? Okay. So, there are moments that you're like, okay, sure. But as far as the movie as a whole, and how it did in the box office, it was done well. I mean, that's something that you're going to get with Tom Cruise anyway. He
Yeah.
wants to make sure that everything is at least visually pleasing enough for people to be talking about. It just goes to show that, again, they can be done well. Now, is the new Harry Potter going to be under the same realm? Not likely. Now, we also do have to consider the current buyout with Paramount. It's a possibility it gets canceled. Not saying it will get canceled. There's just a possibility. There's a possibility they go full on and, give it an increased budget, and bring in more stars and make things, even better. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
It's up in the air.
it is up in the air, just because, again, there's a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
Will it continue the way that it is? Maybe. It,
Yeah.
it may just very well come out as is. Um, I mean, they're already working on it, so that in itself is, gives you the sense that it may come out as it is.
But then again, they had Batgirl and they shelved that.
Yep, Batgirl was cut, and honestly, it was just done so that they could get their money back through
Yeah.
taxes.
Because I think
And
it was obvious they knew that it wasn't gonna be as much of a hit as they were hoping for, and they just said, "Well, how are we gonna do this? Let's do a tax write-off."
yeah, tax write-offs. And honestly, when you buy a new franchise or a new company that is making money off of something, it's an even bigger tax cut to say, hey, this existing franchise we just bought, and even though we canceled the show or didn't do anything with it, um, it as a new franchise did not make us as any money or as much money as expected. So you get an even bigger write off.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are the reason why video game companies get bought up, don't release anything, and then get shut down. It's all for tax write offs.
It's just sad that people who have a lot of fresh ideas get thrown to the wayside for sequels or remakes or whatever, and that's all a part of the nostalgia problem, and it would be awesome to know what you guys think. I mean, are you guys fed up? I'm that type of person that I can go either way as long as it's good. I mean, I have to watch it first, obviously, or be immersed with it, play the game, whatever, to know for sure. Sometimes reviews aren't accurate for the person, but for the most part, if the consensus is bad, it's bad. So let us know down below, leave a comment. And if you don't know who we are Plot Hole Productions, and you just watched the latest episode of the podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Spotify, Check us out there, and of course, YouTube. And once again, I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sambrook, and we'll catch you
In
in
the
the void.
void.